This is Kardec Radio for Teens.
And now it's time for Message from a Teen in the Spirit World with your hosts, Mark Smith and Carol Correa.
Hello, dear friends. It's wonderful to be here for one more loving message from a teen in the spirit world, the big journey. This time, our spirit friend Carlos shares with us a new stage in his transition from the earthly realm to the spiritual realm. God is so loving and so kind and so gentle that God never destroys. God ever more transforms. And what transformation are we referring to? We are referring to the transformation that the body undergoes once we leave our physical machine behind in order to wear our spiritual vests to the spiritual realm, our true home. We may, while incarnated, while wearing a physical body, think that we are material or physical beings living a spiritual experience, when in effect we are spiritual beings living a very temporary physical experience. All of us, dear friends, will undergo the big journey one day. So we have a lot to learn from our dear Carlos, and we are very grateful to him as a spirit and to the loving Brazilian medium Francisco Xavier, who was the instrument through which these messages came to life. So with much, much, much gratitude in our lives, we would like to ask our dear Mark to read the next step in Carlos's transition process.
The Good Sleep. I was surprised to notice that none of you were aware of Aunt Eunice's presence. I got the impression that you couldn't see her. Even Dr. Martino, who was looking right at her, displayed complete indifference. But she wasn't the least bit concerned about this. She moved to the bedstead and placed her soft hand on my head. Great relief bathed my soul. It felt like the sun's rays were penetrating my paralyzed body. I couldn't talk as I wanted to, but I could think more clearly. I stopped paying attention to my sore throat and was able to think without much trouble. Had I gotten a bit better? Was death still prowling around my bed? What would happen in the next few minutes? I wanted to ask Aunt Eunice a few questions and at the same time explain to her that I was greatly afraid of death. However, my lips could barely move. But from what I could tell, she perceived right away what was going on in my mind. She smiled kindly and said, "Do you believe that someone could vanish forever? Don't believe such foolishness. You must compose yourself. After all, you've gone through many, many pain-filled days and sleepless nights." She smiled with even more tenderness, filling me with deep trust, and then said, "You must sleep peacefully without any worries." And since I was listening to her advice, she added, "Rest, little Carlos. Don't be afraid to give in to the influence of sleep. I'll watch over you." She then passed her right hand lightly and repeatedly over my ulcerated throat. The change I experienced was complete. I felt like she was applying a wonderful bandage of relief. The pain that had tormented me for so long began to gradually give away. An unspeakable peace came over me at last. I trustingly gave in to Aunt Eunice's care in the same way I used to abandon myself to my mother's tenderness. She began stroking my sweat-soaked face with her loving and kind hand and rested it gently on my eyelids. I was still trying to look at you, but couldn't. My unexpected visitor gently closed my eyes and urged, "Sleep, little Carlos. You are tired." I couldn't say a word, but I agreed mentally. I was thankful and comforted. Aunt Eunice noticed my silent air of contentment because right then she leaned over and kissed me. I recall how Mom kissed me every night, and because of the relief I was feeling, I finally gave in to the good sleep.
How beautiful to see that love is ever present in our lives. God is so precious, so merciful, so kind, and so healing that He allowed the Spirit of Carlos to have a healing, loving, kind, and compassionate pair of hands and loving heart to accompany him in his transition to the spiritual realm. It's beautiful to see that, unlike what we may imagine when we watch some Hollywood movies or books that we may read that are popular out there somewhere over the rainbow, we may think that death, physical death, is terrifying, that we will be alone forever, or that we will sleep forever, or that we will lose our individuality, or that we'll never remember who we are, or that we'll vanish forever, like the spirit of Aunt Eunice told Carlos directly. But God is so beautiful that God would never destroy any of his creation. And he's ever so kind that he makes his presence felt in every challenge or challenging moment that we face. Carlos is a living proof of that, because as he was transitioning to the spiritual realm, he felt, in his own words, bathed by love. And the love was so tangible to him that he compared that kind of love to the love of his mother. And he felt so safe that he could let go of himself in complete trust, like a small child, and fall asleep in complete peace. But fall asleep forever? Definitely not. Fall asleep to wake up beautifully awake and aware in a new but real world, our real home. If we become more aware of our true nature, the trip, the big journey to the spiritual realm becomes more natural to us and becomes more like a graduation day when we get to celebrate the steps that we were able to take, and we get to go home to celebrate with our friends and family. So that is the feeling that Carlos experiences, the feeling of being loved and loving at the same time. And this is the feeling that connects us to our own divine nature. Because what was the one commandment that our guide and model shared with us? Love yourself as you love your neighbor, and love God above all else. So what is the password for us if we want to feel serenity and be serenity and live in serenity, even in the face of a challenge or of a transition of any sort? What is the password? The password is love. If we are open to receiving love, we are also open to giving love, and therefore we become more readily embraced by our spiritual, physical, and universal family. What a beautiful message of love and hope. So it's great to know, dear friends, that our physical death, the death of our physical machine, doesn't have to be somber or sad or heartbreaking. It can be seen as a transition or as a graduation ceremony where the celebration moves to the realm where we can find more and more of our friends and families, as Carlos will experience himself in the chapters that are to come. So it's beautiful to know that we can celebrate life in both realms of life. So, in honor of our continuum of life that is truly everlasting, would you like to say a prayer, Mark?
Sure. Dear mentors, thank you so much for this beautiful and compassionate portrayal of the process of transition from the earth to the spirit realm. Thank you so much for teaching us that behind our bodies and our life here on earth lies a compassionate, loving, and caring group of spirits who are by our sides, helping and giving us the beautiful guidance that will take us into the home that lies beyond this world. Thank you for these beautiful messages of hope and love from Chico Xavier and the Spirit Neo Lucio that are guiding us towards understanding the world outside of our own, the fact that a home lies on the other side, and the beautiful message of hope and love and compassion that every one of us is destined to become connected to. Let's now live our lives with the certainty and optimism that lying beyond this world is a world where we continue on, where we are still ourselves, but only even more and more and more loving over time, connecting to the universal spirit of the beautiful Master of Jesus. So be it.
So be it, and may we all receive an embrace of hope and optimism in both realms of life. And until we meet again for another episode of Message from a Teen in the Spirit World, The Big Journey, we both send you many, many, many loving blessings.
This has been Kardec Radio for Teens. Thank you all for listening.